Hello, Dan. How
Hey,
are you?
good. Good. How are you?
Everything is good. We have some British weather at the moment.
Tell me about it, man. I'm in Madrid. It's warmer. My wife is experiencing warmer weather in England. It's 2 degrees warmer in England.
It's
I thought it was gonna be sunbathing.
yeah. No, I don't know what's happening, but it's good for you guys in the UK because you guys have better weather than we have at the moment. So, and it's still going to
Unbelievable.
rain. It's still going to rain for the rest of the week. So I don't know.
Oh well. Oh well.
Anyway, how's the tour going for you guys?
Good, man. It's been very good. It's these aren't places that we often go, which is kind of the point of the tour, is to, make use this opportunity to visit some cities that we've neglected for a while. And shows have been, I mean, every show's been amazing, to be honest. Every show's been awesome. And I expect that these last three shows in Madrid, Barcelona, and Lisbon will be more of the same. Yeah, so it's I can't complain, man. We're so lucky to be in this position after all these years.
Yeah.
So
Does it
very
surprise you,
grateful.
after, so many years that you guys are still, growing? I mean, you guys in the UK, obviously, guys are big, big there, but, in the rest of Europe, you guys seem to be growing and growing. Does it surprise you, that you guys are still growing after all these years?
Yeah, I mean, on a day-to-day basis, you can sort of see it coming and you can plan, you write some new songs you think people are gonna like. You can tell, you can feel that people are gonna connect with it. But I mean, when I was so we released our third album in 2008, maybe. I would have been 21. And I remember saying to my brother before we wrote our fourth album, I remember saying to him, you know, if bands don't make it by their fourth album, they don't make it.
Yeah,
So has to, this album has to be great. It has to go over well. It has to connect with people. Otherwise, we're done because you're not going to make it on your fifth, sixth, seventh album. And we made our fourth album, and people hated it, and it didn't do well, right? And it was really our sixth album, Lost Forever, Lost Together, that people got into us. And then our seventh album was bigger, and then our eighth album was bigger, and then our ninth album was really big, and it went to number one in the UK, and it was a number one album in Australia, and um, so yeah, like I mean, at the time, I remember thinking, has there ever been a band ever whose biggest album is their ninth album? And I
yeah,
thought, no. And we've just released our 11th album, and all the signs are that our 11th album is going to be our biggest album. So, has there ever been a band whose biggest album is their 11th album? I feel like we might be the only band ever in the history of recorded music to have this trajectory. But there was definitely a sense for us early on that bands got big on album number one or number two or maybe number three, but and usually they spent the rest of their career finishing their set with the big song from their second album or their first album. And I didn't really see bands getting big later in their career. At the time there was no examples of
yeah,
that. But now you see it more. You see bands growing later on. Whether it's the bands that come to mind are out other than us. Gojira is one
yeah,
who have continued to grow and grow and grow. Bring Me the Horizon is another who just keep on surpassing their
yeah.
previous achievements and growing and growing and growing. So that now today, there's more examples of it. But when we were starting, or when we were in the earlier years of our career, it felt like it was impossible. If you didn't make it early, you didn't make it at all, which is not the case anymore. So I think it's nice. I hope that there are other bands out there seeing it and perhaps trying and failing. I hope they can see that you can fail for a while and still make it in the end.
Yeah. No, I think the thing with the metal bands, in general, they seem to have like a longevity now that you probably didn't expect, you know.
Yeah, and do you know what I see it? There's loads of examples of it with the bands that we grew up listening to now because all the new metal bands are bigger than ever.
Yeah,
You know, Deftones are out in the States doing their first ever full sold out arena tour of the States. The first one ever. I mean, I remember I went to see Deftones when they were touring White Pony, and I thought this is their pinnacle,
yeah,
and they're bigger than ever now. Limp Bizkit, bigger than ever now. Korn, bigger than ever. Slipknot, bigger than ever. And we just did 2 years of shows with Metallica.
yeah,
And I remember, this is going to sound disrespectful to Metallica, and I hope it doesn't come across that way, but I remember watching Some Kind of Monster when I was 20, and they're 40 in that documentary. I thought these are like that old metal band, aren't they? Metallica. They're like, this like they're trying to figure it out because they're not, they're kind of at the end of their career now.
yeah,
And we just did all these shows around Europe and we only played one night. They were doing 2 nights in every stadium sold out, and they're bigger than ever. Like you think Metallica can't be big. Surely they're big. Surely Metallica were their biggest when they did the Black album, but no, they're bigger than ever now. And so what it's been super inspirational to see for us because you see that like I'm 37 now. And you feel like we've been doing this so long, we must be near the end. But we're probably like in the middle of the story.
yeah,
And it's that's been like really exciting and inspirational to us to think, wow, this could just keep going and going and going as long as we stay healthy and
yeah.
alive and we keep enjoying it. This could keep going. So yeah, it's really cool to see that bands like heavy bands can have that longevity now.
Yeah, and for those who going to experience the architects for the first time, I remember seeing you guys here in Portugal over 10 years ago. I think it was a small club show. It was packed, but that was the only time I saw you guys. But for those like the new fans who haven't experienced the architects live, what can they expect from the show you guys are bringing on Saturday?
I think the thing that we've realized that is like is unique to us is the energy of the shows. Like it's not just about heaviness. Um and we've got a couple slower moments in the set because we play a decent length and we've tried to mix up the give the crowd a breather and this type of thing. But what separates us from a lot of other heavy bands is like the energy of our show is like a hardcore show. We have like big arena rock songs and like lots of like more typical metalcore songs if you like, but the energy of the show is like a hardcore show, and that's something that like that's the roots of the band. That's we all grew up going to hardcore shows, and we've always loved that the chaos of a hardcore show, the crowd participation of a hardcore show. So that's something that we've really tried to keep as part of our DNA. And so when you see us, like, that's what you'll notice. It's like our show is like the songs can be so serious, but there's like a party energy about the show that is like we've realized has become like quite unique to our band in this sort of from amongst our scene. There's lots of other great heavy bands that we consider our peers, but their shows might be a bit more it's a bit more moody or like the energy is like a little bit slower. The crowd is just kind of watching, whilst with us it's like it's crowd surfing, it's walls, it's circle pits, it's like it's chaos, which is kind of like what we enjoy.
And the new record, The Sky, The Earth, and All Between. You guys charted number two in the UK, I think just behind Sabrina Carpenter, I think. But these records, it's listening to it, it's a massive record. And I think it's for me, it's probably your best work to date. Not just
Mhm.
musically, but Sam's vocals, are absolutely exquisite on this record. How do
Mhm.
you guys feel about the album that it's out now? How do you feel about it, listening to it now, if you do listen to it?
Yeah, the thing is about making an album is that by the time it's released, I've listened to it a billion times just from working on it. By the time it's mastered and you're even able to listen to the final thing, I've listened to the songs to fucking death, you know. So I don't listen to it very much anymore. But the whole mission was to write the best architect record we've ever written, and the whole attitude surrounding it was to make something great, something that surpassed any of our previous work. Kind of looping back to what I was saying before about making it on your fourth record and etc. etc. The thing is about making your 11th record is it's much harder to convince people to listen to it because most people that are aware of this style of music have heard of architects and they've already made up their mind. They're
Yeah,
not architects aren't my thing. So if we were the if we if the Sky, the Earth and All Between was our debut record, people would see it in a totally different way. Whilst we have all this baggage of what people already think of us. So we recognize that in order to keep this band moving forward and in order to uh, deserve people's attention, we're going to have to make something special.
yeah,
And so we completely reset the bar of what is acceptable for an architect record, what makes it onto an architect record. So, um, it's when you write the songs and you're putting them together and you have that the buzz that drives you in the studio and you're following this like creative intuition, you feel you can tell people are going to be when people are going to be excited about it. We've had certain songs we've written in the past where we've sat back and we've just made it and you listen and you think this is going to be big. You know what I mean?
yeah.
This people are gonna really, really connect with this. Um, and we were really chasing that in a big way on this record. So I'm not surprised at all that people like it. I'm not surprised at all that it's been successful. It's because we've done this for long enough to know when you have something great or something good, and it was pretty obvious to us that we had written a great record, and if you write a great record, then people are going to pay attention to it.
Yeah. And do you guys have that pressure, as you were saying, make the best album possible, but you guys have that pressure, or when you go into writing mode, you want to make the best songs possible, but it's how you're feeling in that moment and not because you really need to do something that surpasses the previous work.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. Um, and we parted ways with our guitarist Josh, who was really involved with writing as well. So it was the first time where it really felt like it was a lot on my shoulders. And yeah, so it's been a real learning process for me. And like Seeing Red was important because it was the first song where we had set this new bar and I had written all the riffs. Like I had written some riffs before, but I really left the guitar work to the guitarists,
Yeah.
um, and I just worked more on structure and melody and choruses and things like that, and lyrics, of course. But yeah, when we sort of set ourselves this challenge and we put Seeing Red together and it went over well and it's been a big hit with our fans, that was sort of like the moment where we felt like, okay, this is going to work. We can do this. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, but it was a process, man. It, it's it's one thing just to say this is going to be the best architecture
Yeah.
record ever. I mean, every band wants their new record to be the best ever, but there was just like a real focus and belief, and it was kind of like the attitude was we won't stop until we've achieved what we're trying to achieve here. So yeah, we'll probably rest on our laurels and get lazy on the next album, and it won't be as good. Maybe let's see.
But you guys, is there, musically, is there any boundaries that you guys set? Do you think there's a line you cannot cross musically?
No, no, I don't think there is, and it annoys the hell out of our fans, or at least some of them, because on one album you get Black Hole and you also get Everything Ends, and it's yeah, look, sometimes we're asking a lot of people, the scope of the record is big, so we're basically asking our fans like, are you willing to go on this journey with us where we're going to give you death metal and pop on the same record? Because a lot of people don't like death metal and pop, but we
Yeah,
do. So, um, yeah, it seems like there are people there that are out there that understand it, but it's just it also makes people really, really mad. But what we did when we released For Those That Wish to Exist, 4 or 5 years ago, was we basically just opened all the doors
yeah,
and we said like, okay, this band isn't about genre, it's about qual, it's about us being ourselves, but it's also about maintaining a certain quality. And when we did Flows That Wish to Exist and we changed the identity of the band and we shifted things, we did it and we said to ourselves, okay, if we're going to do this, we need to do it well, otherwise it's going to fail. And so we put a lot into that record and sitting here today, it's our best-selling record, it's our most streamed record, and it's funny because people online will still talk about it as if it's like this album that everyone hates or it's like an underrated album. It's like, guys, this album has streamed 300 million times. It's like people like this, like the public have voted and they're saying they like this record. It's not
yeah,
like the records that you think that, the classic Architect records that, are the untouchable ones. I'm very proud of those records and I'm glad that people like them, but like, I can see the numbers. I get all the
yeah,
data. People aren't listening to them very much. The ones they're listening to are the ones that you say nobody likes. So it's been interesting. But what was great about doing that record is that we could open the doors and basically say we'll do whatever the fuck we want.
yeah,
And I think there's a necessity for us to push things to the extreme. And that's what we did. Like, Black Hole is an extreme metal song. Everything Ends is like a real pop song. And I've had some people say to me about Everything Ends, oh, like what was that like when you were making it? Like, were you thinking like, oh, can we do this? Like, we didn't, there was no conversation. We didn't look at each other and say, is this okay? That never happened. We just made it and finished it. And that was that. There's no time when we ever consider what the audience wants,
yeah.
to be honest.
And you were talking about the fans, and one thing I realized, especially in metal music, it's when the band starts to grow, the hardcore fans are the true fans, as they like to call themselves. When they see the band growing and a new audience is coming, they seem to start to dislike the
Yeah.
band. And I don't understand why. Because I think they're
Yeah.
afraid of the band is not theirs anymore. I mean, it never
It's a bit
was to
like
begin with.
it's a bit like, Metallica fans that love Ride the Lightning being upset when the Black Album comes out and saying that the Black Album sucks. Well, guess what? The Black Album fucking rules. So yeah, look, you're right. It is inevitable. I think that there's a strange dynamic with like the online discourse that surrounds our band is like quite angry and vitriolic and hateful and bitter, and for whatever reason, like our old fans have like their love has turned to hatred towards us. And yeah, you're right. It's probably just because the band has grown, and like it's not exclusive to us. I've seen Parkway Drive change their
Yeah.
style and get grief. I've seen Bring Me the Horizon change their style and get grief. It just is it is what it is, and there's nothing you can do about it. And what I love about coming to play shows and seeing fans in the flesh is that all the shit you see online isn't there. and
Yeah.
it's just everyone enjoying themselves and just loving every second. So that's what it's really about, and that's what really matters to us.
Yeah. And, we are wrapping up, but, I'm getting old, but I enjoy going to a concert and seeing a whole new generation of fans being there, young kids enjoying, starting, their jackets with patches and all that stuff, and seeing that pass to a new generation. I think that's the only thing you can ask for, seeing that
Yeah.
new fans are getting there and they're enjoying the music that you grew up with. You know, it leaves me like, okay, there's hope for the world, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, I love it, man. Now we have like multi-generational fans. We have fans that where the parents and the kids both come to the signing, or they all want to meet us afterwards, and we get people that are six, and there are people that are 60, that
Yeah,
want to the band. So I love that, and that's something that's kind of more of a new thing for us. So it's been really cool to see.
yeah, right. Dan, thank you very much for your time. I'll see you Saturday in Lisbon. Looking forward for that show. It's going to be a big show finally for you guys.
Yeah,
Hopefully, we won't
yeah,
have
we're
to wait
excited,
as
man.
long for you guys to
No,
come back
won't be as
after.
long next time. Won't be as long, promise.
Right, then. Thank you very much. Have a great day and
Thanks,
see you
man.
Saturday. All right. Thank
Take
you.
care, man. See you
Thank
then.
you. Bye
Bye.
bye. Bye.